He's going to be having a look at indoor vegetables. I've been up to Banff, again looking at daffodils, but this time meeting one of the country's top daffodil breeders. And the hit squad have been helping a family out with their steepest problem yet in Perth. But first, Scotland's towns and villages were established in valleys. But of course, as they've grown and established, so too have the houses moved up the surrounding hills. Now, a house on a hill in the fair city of Perth can offer a fine view from the front, but round the back, the garden can be a real challenge, even for the hit squad, especially if, like the home of Bill and Liz Heggie, it's the site of an old quarry.
Well, we've had some projects in our time, but we've never been given as high as this, and you would need a short leg and a long leg actually up there, wouldn't you? Bill, you must have had some real constructional work here to hold that rock back, have you not?
It's a big problem with the water coming through the rocks and falling. There's times when you have to take bits out for safety for the young lads playing.
Aye, of course.
And this was the main thing. Well, Liz put in some plants.
Aye, so you're the plants woman, Liz, eh?
Well, I'll try. I try. We've planted a lot of plants, but we have difficulty in holding the soil. There's a problem with soil erosion.
Right.
And there's a maintenance problem, because you can't weed it.
No, it's no easy.
We've cleared it before, but the weeds just keep coming back. There's inaccessible bits that we have big difficulty reaching.
Right.
The limestone gonna hit that.
Well, it's in case a flying stone hits it.
These are great steps. I like them.
Yeah, we've got these steps put in to take away from the steps over here and away from the path. Because you've just trimmed this and you can see how dangerous it is at the back of you.
So what you want to do then, Bill, is you're wanting us to kind of divert anybody coming up these stairs here to go up here, eh?
Yeah, to get up to that level, they must go up there.
Shrubs, in fact, will soon envelop that bit completely, you know?
Yeah. As long as nobody gets to walk along this way,
Okay.
that's it.
Okay.
You always give me the nasty jobs, Jack. It's no fair, is it? You tell that Walter Gilmer he's a rat. Huh?
You're a brat.
You're a rat. What we're doing here is we're trying to blind this path it was and guide people from up and down that stairway. And I thought a good idea would be maybe to put in, you know, a conifer in here on the corner so it drapes over this piece and yet at the same time forms a blind. Maybe a cotoneaster over there so that that's a nice little foil to the steps. But this part, well, we'll fill that in. And again, some planting right down to this junction here.
Jim, a couple of years ago, I planted this whole border here with lavender plants, and unfortunately only one of them has survived. I realise now why the rest didn't survive, because I see the size of holes you've been digging for the plants. I had to lie on my tummy here on the path, lean over, right, to dig the holes with a trowel. Right, and the holes obviously weren't deep enough, and that is why I've lost so many of them.
There's no way you would get holes sufficiently deep with a trowel. Crowbar and a spade I've been using. You've got to give them a good start in life. And that's it's an expensive lesson to learn, because that would be quite costly.
It was, yes, it was.
Plants are not cheap, and really you've got to get the advice and the right advice when you buy them as to how deep and how, what type of soil conditions, etc. You know, and you don't always get that. But look at the depth of that hole there, look.
The reason we did the strimming and didn't dig all this over was that we need the grass roots to keep the stability of the banking. And now that it's all been done, planting the plants through here, there's still going to be a little bit of competition from, obviously, some of the grasses. So we're using the old strawberry mats, as you've seen us use before, and by doing this, slipping it around the plant and keeping the edges down so that they don't blow away in the wind, of course, that plant now will have no competition, and at the same time it'll be a nice little surface mulch, retain the moisture until the plant becomes established. In this case it's Cetus praecox, which is the lovely broom. It's a beautiful broom, and when this, of course, is finished flowering, we'll just give it a haircut, and it'll always keep, of course, nice and tidy, and a nice blaze of colour on this part of the banking.
Most people use climbers on walls or fences. I've used them here for ground cover plants. And it's not as daft as it sounds, because not only will they crawl along the ground and suppress the weeds, but they'll make a nice safety net should anybody fall down on here. But just imagine the clematis I've used, for instance, when the branches trail right along the ground and the great big dinner plates of flowers sitting on top of the ground. What a great way to use climbers. It'll be fantastic.
Bill, the reason I'm doing this is that it's a polymer resin, and there's a lot of dry cracks up here, and we want the resin to really hold water. It's a water reserve. You can get it from garden centres and such, and it's normally used for hanging baskets and window boxes. And you can see what's going to be growing from that, because that's half a teaspoonful, and that's what it would go into with the absorbance of water. Now, normally you would actually have it mixed, you know, well in advance, maybe about 12 hours in advance. But we're going to be putting it in because we're going to be planting some abricia, iberis and stuff like that, and some of these cracks that would become dry.
That'll help hold it.
It certainly would. So give it a good old mix. It'll absorb the water like crazy.
On the very top level, the removal of the path and putting the plants in has brought the safety aspect in brilliant, and it looks great.
From the first floor window, the view here is lovely, and it's been a very clever use of climbing plants. I would never have thought of using climbing plants as creeping plants along the ground for ground cover. It's going to look really lovely when they all come into flower. The boys have made a lovely job of cheering up what has been really a very dull rock face, and now it's lovely, it's bright and it's cheerful. They've made a really super job.
Jim, Walter, thank you very much for everything today. Here's your payoff.
Oh!
And the hit squad will be shooting off to Comrie next week. Jim, it's time.